Boom.
111 years ago,
Oh, man.
when I was 10 years old.
Between 1858 and 1878, Jack Crabb was an Indian warrior, a preacher's ward, a gunfighter, a drunkard, a hermit, and he tried to kill General Custer.
Take him away and hang him.
Yeah, so this gives off a little bit of Forrest Gump vibes in a way, just in the sense that he's not necessarily dumb, but he goes through all these different parts of his life, and there's lots of very different things. He's going back and forth in between living with the Native Americans and the white settlers. But I digress.
And you can believe as much of that as you want. Dustin Hoffman plays Jack Crabb.
Yes, he does.
Roll 3.
And he plays him for real. After real, after real, after real. In Little Big Man.
Dustin Hoffman, real to...
Yeah, he has a few different looks in it. That's sort of one of the points. And we'll get into it. It's one of the things I sort of didn't like. I like aspects of it. I'll get more into it after the
These
trailer.
were human beings, my son. And now they're dead. Rubbed out by those ugly, unnatural creatures.
Why would they kill women and children?
Because they are strange. They do not seem to know where the center of the earth is. We must have a war on these cowards and teach them a lesson.
Dustin Hoffman, real 5.
You murdered!
Yeah, and I feel like the way that Native Americans are portrayed in this is, like, it's not perfect, but at least they're not one-dimensional characters, and they have a real storyline, and you're kind of rooting for them, actually. So that's a step in the right direction. But a lot of people say that, and it's what is positive, right? But people say that the first movie to show Native Americans in a positive light is Dances with Wolves, which I reviewed before. But this is way before that, and you could debate that this shows them in a positive light, at least compared to a lot of Westerns. Anyway, I'm digressing a little bit. Here we go.
Got to cut your throat to get it through your head. I'm a white man. White? Sure I'm white.
Yeah, he flips and flops back and forth between the Native Americans and the whites constantly. And yeah, I don't know about some of his, like, Dustin Hoffman is obviously a good actor, but this is his early career. He is good in some parts, I don't know about some of his line delivery. But anyway.
Didn't you hear me say, God bless George Washington? God bless my mother. I mean, now what kind of Indian would say a fool thing like that?
Dustin Hoffman and Martin Balsam, real 7.
You're improving, Jack. You just can't seem to get rid of that streak of honesty in you. The one that ruined you was that damned Indian, old Titi.
You mean old Lonskin?
He gave you a vision of moral order in the universe,
This is a really long trailer.
and there isn't any.
Dustin Hoffman and Faye Dunaway as Mrs. Pendrake, real 4.
Faye
Did you
Dunaway.
realize, don't you, dear Jack,
Faye Dunaway is a babe.
that the Reverend Hendrick is not altogether wrong?
What, man?
Well,
Yeah.
Jesus is your Savior.
There was definitely some
You do
sensual
realize that, don't you,
tension,
dear
some
Jack?
sexual tension between them.
Yes, miss.
Are you thinking of Jesus, Jack?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Well, you mustn't fib to me, you know.
Oh, no. I love Jesus and Moses and all of them.
Dustin Hoffman and Wild Bill Hickok, real 9.
And another thing about this is that it's a comedy, sort of, I guess, but there's some pretty, like a lot of, like, bloody scenes and serious scenes, so it's definitely, you could say it's a drama and a comedy, maybe, and a little bit of an action movie. I mean, it's a Western, so I guess they usually are a little bit of a mix, but not usually comedy. Usually they're pretty serious, but this has some jokes, and I honestly can't even remember a lot of the jokes, but it did make me laugh. There's some in the trailer, obviously, here, but it did make me laugh, though. But yeah, there's some really, really like hard to watch parts too and stuff. Some serious subject matter with some jokes thrown in. And like that, like this kind of shit right here.
Dustin Hoffman and General Custer, real 13.
Take my advice.
Oh yeah, and I don't know how accurate. I guess Little Big Man was a real person, but they were Native American. They weren't white, so that's not even factually correct. Just classic Hollywood whitewashing stuff, I guess. But it's also, this is based on a book, is a noteworthy factor. But Little Big Man, was a Native American, and Dustin Hoffman is Little Big Man in this. Let's keep watching.
Go west.
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So Custer, he's in this. I wonder how true all this is. They make one thing that's good about this is that they make Custer look like an asshole, and I think he is an asshole or was an asshole. So I think that's accurate, and they show how brutal the white settlers are with causing near genocide to the Native American people, and how they just ignored treaties and stuff. So yeah, I think this movie's pretty good for showing it's the 70s, so there's gonna be some things okay, maybe they wouldn't say that nowadays or whatever. But of course, it's set that time, so when they say things like Indian, it's okay, that was just a part of the time. We're not really supposed to say that now, I don't think. But I digress. What I'm trying to say is that I think this movie does a good job of actually showing how awful the white settlers are. Anyway, moving on.
My wife, she's awful scared of you. My dear woman, you have nothing to fear from the Indians. I give you my personal guarantee. For Christian America!
The battle scenes are really cool because they show a lot of the shooting and the blood. Fake blood in the 70s. I feel like they didn't get fake blood right until the 80s or something. That's what it feels like. Because a lot of fake blood just doesn't look good, and it's just a little too bright or something in this movie. But it still was jarring, and the way it's shot, and if the blood was just another color, it would look a little better. But it still is pretty gruesome and graphic and disturbing.
Let your arrows fly, savages! I am on board!
Arthur Penn, who gave you The Miracle Worker, Bonnie and Clyde, and Alice's Restaurant, has created 15 reels of motion picture entertainment called Little Big Man.
This is a weird way of doing this.
You devil!
Oh! Onward! To Little Big Horn!
This trailer is really long for a trailer. It's 4 minutes. I guess some trailers were just this long back then. Tomato soup, yeah, kinda. It kinda looks like tomato soup. Or red paint. It just looks like red
Welcome to your
paint.
new home.
Okay. Alright. General, all ages permitted.
Look at yours.
It's pretty bloody. That's crazy. But anyways, let's look at some of the other stuff I have open here. So we got the IMDb page. Let's take a look at that. So 7.6 out of 10. I did like this movie. This is sort of considered to be a classic film, I think. I think a lot of people like this movie, and I get why. As far as if I were to pick, honestly, I think this was more entertaining to me than Dances with Wolves. Honestly, there was, like I said, there's jokes thrown in, and I like the way that they sort of show this time, and it seems more realistic than some westerns, at least to me. But let's just get into the basic plot, right? So first off, it starts off with Dustin Hoffman's parents getting killed by a tribe of Native Americans, which I'm sure that happened, but they're coming on their land, of course it's gonna fucking happen. So anyway, then they get sort of taken in, him and his sister, into the tribe. The tribe is called the Human Beings, which leads to a lot of sort of funny dialogue where they say, talking about some people as not being human beings and some people being human beings. And every time you hear that, you're like, oh, but that's all people. But then you're like, oh, no, that's the name of the tribe, right? So that's kind of funny. But yeah, that's how it starts off. And then there's a part that's kind of gross at the beginning with the sister is like, oh, she like assumes she's gonna get raped by the Native Americans. It's like, and they don't want to. They just want to like smoke peace pipe with her. You know, they're taking them in because their family got killed. They're actually being nice. So Dustin Hoffman stays and she runs away. And I don't know. It's so, the way this movie jumps around is one of my biggest problems with it. And I'll get into that in a second. But let's keep looking at the IMDb. So 7.6 out of 10. That's pretty high, but I think it's fair. We'll see what I give it. I don't know yet, but that seems like reasonable-ish, at least on my scale. I might give it a little lower, but it's about, I feel like it's roughly there though. Dustin Hoffman, our guy, Jack Crabb, Faye Dunaway. Is Faye Dunaway still kicking? She's still alive? I think so. She still looks good. If this is a recent picture. 1941. Oh, anyways, what do we got here? Well, she's won an Oscar, but I don't think for this. I don't think this won any Oscars. There was a nomination. Who played the chief? What was the chief's name? I forget. Or Grandpa. He kept calling him Grandpa. Chief Dan George. Let's click on him. That's his actual name, Chief Dan George. He played the chief in this, and he was nominated for an award, and I think he's Canadian too, so that's really cool. Yes, because he was nominated for an Academy Award. But anyway, going back to the IMDb page, let's look at some of the other actors in this, see if I recognize anybody else. I don't think so. We can talk about some of the characters though. So there's so many little like parts in this movie. It jumps around so much. Like it goes from him living with the Native Americans to him getting taken in by the whites because he's basically in a life or death situation. So he's like, "Don't kill me, I'm white." So they take him in, and then he just leaves when he finds out that that Faye Dunaway, who's taking care of him there, he finds out that she's not really the holy woman that she makes herself out to be. So he leaves. That's done sort of weird. It's like all of a sudden he's like, so after that I left and became a con man. It's like, okay, sort of felt weird with the pacing, but you know, it's adapted from a book and there's a lot of things they have to cover, I guess, if it's directly adapted from this book. So he goes from there to there. He's a con man now, and he's selling like a fake elixir to people, and what am I trying to say? They get in trouble, and then he meets his sister, so he goes through a gun fighting phase. He's called the Soda Pop Kid. There's so many things. That part's kind of funny. But yeah, it switches around so much, and then he goes back to the Native Americans. It goes back and forth. But I do like it's obviously shot very well, this film. It looks really good, especially for the 70s. The editing's okay, but like I said, some of the pacing seems a little weird at times. Like the gun slinging sequence isn't that long compared to some of the other stages in his life. I guess that's fine, but it seems a little weird. Overall, this movie wasn't bad, though. I definitely liked it. Let's keep going down with the IMDb page. Let's look at how much money this made. I think it did probably decently. 15 million. I remember this is in the 70s, so with inflation, this would be way huger. 15 million was the budget, and the gross worldwide was 31 million. So I don't know, but nowadays that's not crazy. But they made double their budget back, or not double their budget back, but they made their budget back pretty much exactly. So plus an extra 15 million. That's what I mean, double. But you know what I'm saying. 31 million to 15 million budget, not bad. Let's look at the Wikipedia. So, here's the Wikipedia. Little Big Man is a 1970 American Western film directed by Arthur Penn and based on the 1964 novel Little Big Man by Thomas Berger. While broadly categorized as a Western or an epic, the film encompasses several literary film genres, including comedy, drama, and adventure. I would agree with that. The film follows the life of a white man who is raised by members of the Cheyenne, right? That's the tribe, but they also call them the human beings. Like I said, during the 19th century, the film is largely concerned with contrasting the lives of American pioneers and Native Americans throughout the progression of the boy's life. It stars Dustin Hoffman, Chief Dan George, Faye Dunaway, Martin Balsam, Jeff Corey, Richard Mulligan. Once you get to the bottom end of those names, I don't really know them. Little Big Man is an early revisionist Western in its sympathetic depiction of Native Americans and its exposure of the villainous practices of the United States cavalry. And I feel like, and honestly, I haven't seen that many Westerns, so it's hard to say. I feel like this was one of the first ones to show Native Americans in a more positive light, because in a lot of Westerns, they're usually the villain and they're one-dimensional, I think. Like in John Pilgrim film. What am I saying? John Wayne. He says Pilgrim. Oh my god, I can't believe I did that. But anyway, and again, I haven't seen that many, but I think I've seen some scenes from some John Wayne westerns. Western isn't really my favorite genre, but I did like this though. Big Man is an anti-establishment film of the period. I would agree with that because it's sort of showing that their history, America's history, is built on blood and the backs of killing almost an entire group of people, which is fucking insane. But you know, it happened, and it's good that they actually showed it in this film. Jack Crabb. Oh yeah, and that's just one thing I didn't mention. It's kind of crazy. So this whole story is being told by Jack Crabb, but he's an 121-year-old man now. So he's lived through, and that's crazy. Because I guess some people have lived that long. Maybe like the oldest person ever. So he would have been like the oldest person ever. And he said, when I was 10 years old, in whatever year would make him 110. I'm really bad on 121. I'm really bad at math. But yeah. So this is somewhat based on history. Like, it's historical fiction. I'm sure some of it's not true. But things like General Custer and like the Battle of Little Bighorn, this kind of thing's real, I think. Again, I'm no history buff. I know film a little better than I know history. But anyways, yeah, Jack flashback begins not 1859. That's when he was 10 years old. Right. See, Wikipedia does the math for me. That's why we have Wikipedia open. But yeah, he does so much shit. He sells snake oil. He's a gunslinger. He has a white wife, and then oh yeah, this is something I want to talk about. So, he's looking for his white wife because she got taken away by a Native American tribe. So he's looking for her, and he's looking for so long, he can't find her. So he eventually just settles down with a new wife, a Native American wife. And this is another one of those times where he goes back and forth, with the whites and the Native Americans. But he's living in this teepee with his wife, his new wife, and then he finds out that one of his friends from the previous tribe, from the Cheyenne tribe that he was in, well, he's still a part of it, but one of his pals, he finds out that he is now married to his old white wife, so it's all switched around. But he doesn't even tell her. Her name is Olga. He doesn't even tell Olga. He's like, hey, it's me. And she doesn't recognize him, which is also weird. But he's just like, I'm just going to like leave it be, which is kind of weird, but it is what it is. He's got a new wife now. He just sort of like, I'll just leave it be. I guess he got over her, and so did she get over him. But it's pretty crazy. Anyways. Y'all are pleasant, and thank you for listening to my ramblings about Little Big Man. But I'm gonna bring my head big, and then I'm just gonna talk about this movie until I run out of stuff to talk about, and then we'll rate it, and we'll move on to the next movie, because that's how I do it. And maybe Stevie will be able to join us for Great Balls of Fire, because Stevie's been wanting me to review this for a while, and they requested specifically that I do it, because Jerry Lee Lewis recently passed away, so it's fitting with that film. But anyway, we're not talking about that film yet. Little Big Man. So yeah, lots of things. uh, go on. So you can't be bored in this movie because it's always switching around. There's always something happening. But especially for a 70s movie, it seems a little spastic, but in that way. But again, it's based on this book, and I wonder if it's a similar situation to Forrest Gump, because Forrest Gump is about this guy that does all these different crazy things. But I think that is better paced than this movie. And I don't love Forrest Gump. Some people say it's the best movie ever, but it's a good movie. And this is a good movie too, though. I did like this. Dustin Hoffman, like I said, he puts in an okay performance, in my opinion. He's a great actor, but this was in his early times. Maybe it wasn't as good yet. There's some of the line reads, I'm just like, I don't know about that. There's a part where this is when he's, the first time that he's living with the whites. He's Faye Dunaway, who is like the Christian caretaker of him at this point, takes him to, and he's supposed to be a kid, and there's obvious sexual tension between them, like you saw in the trailer, if you saw the trailer earlier. But yeah, they go to this soda shop, and she's like just leaves him there with the soda machine, and it's kind of a cute scene where he's like trying to drink it out of the nozzle and stuff. I like that. I like that scene. But he hears Faye Dunaway banging the guy who owns the pharmacy. I called it the soda shop, but it's the same thing. Back then, they had the soda pop just in the pharmacies. I don't know. They don't do that anymore. I kind of wish they did. It was kind of cool. Like I saw a video the other day. This is how they used to do it. And there's like one shop in New York that still does it, where they have like a syrup in a pump thing, and they just like put it in, and then they mix the seltzer in, and they like stir it around. So like I wonder how different that tastes. It's probably a whole different experience. When they mix it themselves like that. Anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent talking about soda pop. But I really do appreciate y'all being here. This is Dr. Booty Quiver TV, the sexiest stream on Twitch. So yeah, Dustin and Faye Dunaway is good. All the performances are really good. Chief Dan George was very good. Fantastic even. That's why he was nominated for an Academy Award. Again, he's Canadian. That was cool. And yeah, he has some funny lines too. He has one thing about his character is that he has dreams, and then the dreams come true, and that's a cool part that I liked about the movie actually, where they keep showing that what he dreams happens, and sometimes it's in a sort of cryptic way, and they're like, well, what does that mean? But then it plays out, and it's like, oh, that makes sense now. Like for instance, he said that they're. Oh, this isn't really a dream, but still, he said that they were invisible, and this, I forget actually how exactly it comes about, but they're being invaded by the white settlers, so they have to get out of there. But he says he's invisible, and then they just are, and they're able to walk out. So that's cool. It was interesting for sure, because I was like, so there's maybe a sort of supernatural element to this, perhaps, but maybe not. It's open. They could have just got lucky, like. Jack Crab character says that like a lot. He's like, there's lots of different things that could happen. Maybe we really were invisible, or maybe they thought we were prisoners. There's all these different explanations he had. Italian soda. I mean, I like Italian soda, but no, it was just. I think it was just like soda pop, like Coke syrup or whatever, and then you like mix it in. That's what I was talking about with the video I saw. It's like Coca-Cola pump, and they like pump it in. I mean, that's basically what Italian soda is, but this is how they would make soda pop all the time in the soda fountains and shit. But maybe the soda fountain at the pharmacies were different, but it made me think of these pumps, and they pump it into a glass, and then they put in the seltzer, and they stir it around, and just like it's like a Coca-Cola. But anyway, back to talking about this movie. So Jack Crab is the name of Dustin Hoffman's character. Like I said, he goes through so many different things. He's a gunslinger, and I do like how they do this. They have all the characters like you meet at the beginning of the movie, and then you meet them again later, in a different scene. So that was cool. I like how they didn't just like abandon a character. They went back and they go, remember we have one more scene together, and they sort of have a little bit of closure with that character and those characters. So that was a cool way of doing that. And yeah, like I said, I did like how they do the special effects. Just the blood color was a little wrong, but it looks realistic. Other than that, the way people are getting shot and getting arrows stuck in them and stuff. There is some thrilling action sequences. It's not boring, like I said. Although it seems a little spastic at times, it's good because it jumps around a bit and you're never bored. So in that way, it's good. But at the same time, some of the pacing is a little weird too. Anyway, I don't know what else to say about this movie, so I think we're gonna end. But I did like it. I would highly recommend. Maybe not highly, but I'd recommend it. I'd at least recommend it. It's not bad. In fact, it's good. I'm gonna give it 7.2. Is what a little lower than its IMDb, but I think that's fair. I'm giving it a 7.2. I'm gonna just do a quick recap. So I did like it. It jumps around a little bit. In some of the pacing, the editing is a little weird at times, maybe, but it is shot beautifully. It looks really good. The acting's pretty good all around, except for Dustin Hoffman's performance is okay. Some of his line delivery was a little weak, in my opinion. But Chief Danton George, all the supporting cast, the guy who played Custer was quite funny. They do a good job of making him an asshole, because I think he was an asshole, so that's accurate. I think, again, I mean, we don't really know, right? I never met him, so I can't say, but I'm pretty sure he was an asshole. Eat a banana, holy shit. Well, obviously he was an asshole. No, I'm saying it. Custer was clearly an asshole. We're eating a banana, but we're almost done this. He was doing it. He's finally spending his bucks. I lowered the price a little bit. Why couldn't I donate to the nipple shit? Because it's not a donate. It's a follower count, where it's not the same format as before, with the channel points. This is if we get to 500 followers in 80 days. So I give it a little more time though. But yeah, I need a banana. But Little Big Man, Hugh, have you seen this movie with Dustin Hoffman from the 70s? It's a Western adventure comedy. Like I said, I did like this, but there's just a few things that I already mentioned that could have maybe been improved on. But this is considered a classic, and someone told me that the movie Dances with Wolves is the first movie that shows Native Americans in a positive light. But I think this shows them in a positive light, at least to a certain extent, because it shows how bad the settlers are, and it humanizes the Native Americans, and it shows how peaceful they were. And honestly, fuck, I think a lot of us would be better off if we were just chilling and like trying to hunt and fend for ourselves and not on. I think living like that would be good in a lot of ways. So, kind of wish we didn't fuck it all up, you know? Anyway, why can't I donate to the nipple shit? Oh shit, like 1,000,000 years ago. I'm gonna eat this banana. Yeah, you watched this movie 1,000,000 years ago. That's crazy. Anyway, I'm eating a banana. A Little Big Man. 7.2 out of 10 dogs. I'm done reviewing this movie now. Oh, I already wrote it on here. 7.2 out of 10 dogs. Little Big Man. Alright. Eat the damn banana. I'm eating it. I'm gonna do it now. It's gonna take some time.